hey, well, world entertainment, and the Rings of Power keeps giving the little gifts, as this time Ismael Cruz Córdova doubles down on accusations of racism and still doesn't provide any evidence. And not just that, he also, much like Morford Clark, had to have therapy. That's right. And we're going to get into it because there's an article here on bounding. Let's have a look at this. So, Rings of Power actor Ismael Cruz Córdova doubled down on accusations that he's been the victim of racism, bullying, and harassment for portraying Arondir in the show. Córdova spoke with Mark Malkin on the Just for Variety podcast, where he first revealed how he wanted to take on the role of Arondir to change the perception of what an elf in the Lord of the Rings is. He told Malkin, "I knew what this role would entail. I knew what it would do in the scope of fantasy. I knew I wanted to be a part of something historic, especially with the elves. The elves have been historically portrayed as white and Aryan. I wanted to be an elf. I was a mountain boy. I was in love with nature, and I knew it would change things." It's a little bit problematic and racist, dropping in an old Aryan in there. Why is it okay for these people to say stuff like that, but we can't call anything out? Do you know who Aryans were? I'll give you a clue. Think of 1940s Germany. A certain dude with a little tash wanted the Aryan blood. Blonde with blue eyes. Just saying. Anyway, he continues. And this is not the first that I'm in. This is not the first. I've done a bunch of firsts. First this, first that, he continued. And if somebody could withstand the wave of bullying and harassment and racism that came afterwards, I knew it could be me. But for the better. We needed to tilt this. We needed to break it open. So he says he was somebody who could withstand the wave of all this crap and then needed therapy. By the way, the therapy wasn't just for supposedly the online bullying. Apparently it was getting racisms on set, apparently. They continue anyway. Later in the interview, he bragged. That's right. He bragged. "I was not going to take no for something that I believe so strongly in, and I wanted to be a part of that change. And I'm very proud to say we really stamped on the ant's nest. I didn't just step on it. I was doing some tap dancing on that thing." The whole part of him saying he wasn't going to take no for an answer is apparently when he auditioned for the show, he was told no. They turned him down, and he refused to accept that answer and basically demanded that they cast him as a black elf or it's a racism, and they went okay. However, he then claimed it hurt. It had a psychological and mental health impact. That's something that I'm very, very open about, so that people understand that what they do and say online really hurts people, really has an impact on us. But that price that I was ready to pay, I paid it with all the knowledge and the pride. And at some points, when I was already over the hill of that thing, I was sipping my tea, seeing everybody tear their hair out, and I was just sipping my tea, scrolling and chuckling, he added. And we'll come back to that in a minute. Still, later in the interview, Córdova admitted taking on the role was political to him. It's a privilege to go into a job and not have to pioneer and not to think about this, but I don't have the privilege in that sense. Everything. I am very conscientious that what I do is always political in the sense of the impact. So I take that. A lot of actors don't want to take that. I get exhausted by it. But I also feel that I have a calling for it, and that my story and where I come from asks for it. Right. So basically, it's a total political act why I'm here. But he keeps going, because then Córdova would then reveal he's been working with a therapist for 3 years to deal with comments criticizing him and his character online. Not only did he reveal he has a personal therapist, but he detailed that Amazon hired a therapist to be present on the set. So this guy said if anyone could withstand the wave of bullying, harassment, racism, he knew it could be him. He has 2 fucking therapists. Okay. He explained Amazon had, when we came back from the hiatus and all the conversations we had, an on-set therapist as well that we could go and speak to, and she also would be around. It was a beautiful presence. I love seeing her there, even we didn't speak. I don't know what way he's supposed to say that. I think he's meant to say even if we didn't speak, but he just said even we didn't speak. I knew there was someone there seeing me completely. It wasn't just as an actor, it was a feeling, living person over there. Now, this is the part where we have to go back to that earlier part where he was sipping his tea, chuckling, scrolling and chuckling. So he said, myself and the other cast members that were going through the racist backlash, it wasn't just going to work, he said. By the time we woke up, it was exhausting, wading through all of this. So I'm very diligent about that. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I wish it was more accessible because it is not. So he's waking up exhausted because he's then looking at his phone. He was also sitting there sipping his tea, scrolling and chuckling. We're to the point he needs not 1, but 2 therapists. Here's the question. Why the fuck does he and the rest of the cast have time to be scrolling the internet on the goddamn set? You're there to work. You're not there to be looking online. And if you're looking online, why? Why are you doing it? Why are you looking at stuff being said about you and written about you? Because here's the thing. Amazon, the showrunners and the cast were the first ones to fire shots. That's right. Amazon were the first ones that said if you say anything negative towards the announcements we're going to make, you are racist. The showrunners called the fans patently evil. And then the cast just haven't shut up about, oh, everyone's racist and everyone's a bigot and everyone's this and everyone's that. When in reality, all that's been happening is every fan of Lord of the Rings has been turning around and saying, what you were doing is not Tolkien. You have completely changed the world he's created. And when they've said, it's time, it's the real world, it's modernized, it's this, it's that, it must reflect the world we live in today. No, screw off with that, because Tolkien's work was based on English mythology. English. England. His whole thing is based around Britain. So screw off with your modern takes and whatnot on it. The fact that this moron is doing a Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher is the dude. That is his name, isn't it? The guy who played Cyborg. Where he just went on, oh, DC and Armada and all them. They're so racist. They're, oh my God. Everything was racist. Everything. Racism. Okay, where's your proof? Just believe me. I'm black. You're supposed to just believe me. And he got pushed so much he finally had to show something. And what was it? Oh, look. They made him say, booyah. The character of Cyborg's catchphrase from the comic book. An absolutely nothing burger. And here we have it again. Here's this moron going on and on about, oh, I was harassed. I was bullied. I was receiving racism, death threats, this, that. Not one tweet shown to prove it. Not one. I'm sure he received a couple of stupid messages from stupid people. But when you're going on and on and on about this type of harassment and stuff, to the point that you ended up having to get a therapist, you think you'd be showing some of the evidence. Instead of, trust me bro, I'm black. You just gotta believe me, because if you don't, it's a racism. Oh, it's getting so stupid. Then let's not forget Morphy Clark had to have a therapist because she got so scared from fake fighting on set when big burly men were having to charge at her with swords. What is wrong with these people? And again, if you were someone who's in genuinely like real world issues mentally, get the help you need. Absolutely get therapy. But when these people, right, when he makes a statement saying, I was not going to take no for an answer, everything he does, which he also admits to, is politically driven, i.e., I'm going to make everything about the race and not everything else. When they go and do all this and then he says, I was laughing at it, I was scrolling and chuckling, brags about stuff, all this, and says, I could take it. But then you end up having not one but two therapists. That's not real issues. You've probably got issues, but it's not with the internet. It's with yourself, dude. I don't know what is wrong with these people in Hollywood nowadays. It's getting weirder. But anyway, Rings of Power, the gift that keeps on giving. So with that, I'll leave it there for this one. So cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.